Hello. And so we're continuing to journey with Joseph. And last week we did all of Genesis chapter 43. And this week we're going to do a whole other chapter as well. This week we're going to do Genesis chapter 44. So once again, if you haven't read the chapter yet, please pause this video or stop it. Go ahead and read the chapter in your Bible first, and then come back to this, because these thoughts will make a lot more sense by coming back to it. So we're going to look today at chapter 44 of Genesis. If I was titling this passage, what would I title Genesis 44? I'd probably entitle it Joseph's Plan. Here we see the side of Joseph the planner, Joseph the schemer. And when I read this chapter, I do wonder at times what on earth was going through Joseph's mind. He's brought his brothers back. He's shown them love and grace, and yet he's not yet revealed himself. And then we see this in this chapter, this scheme play out, this placing of his cup in Benjamin's bag. Benjamin, yes, the only son that Israel now seems to care about enough to not want to die, is the one Joseph does this to. The only reason I can think of that Joseph did this is that Joseph had a plan. Is that Joseph had a plan to reveal himself to his whole family at the same time, including his father. In my opinion, Joseph's plan in his head, which we're never shown to, this is my assumption, okay, would have been Joseph's there thinking, right, I'm going to put the cup in Benjamin's bag, okay, and the family are going to freak out, and I'm going to arrest Benjamin. And the family are going to be really upset because Benjamin's now the favourite, and they're not going to know what to do. And I'm going to tell them, right, I'm having Benjamin, and if you want to see Benjamin released, you've got to go home. You've got to get your dad that loves him so much. You've got to bring your dad here to Egypt, and your dad and you can plead Benjamin's case together. And so then the brothers would go off. They'd explain everything to Israel. They'd grab him. They'd journey back together as a family with Israel. And then because they're all there, they would present themselves before Joseph, and Joseph would bring Benjamin out and return him back. And at that point, in front of his brothers and his father together, Joseph would reveal himself to the whole family. This to me feels like what the plan is that Joseph has mapped out in his head. And yet the best laid plans never quite work out, do they? The brothers that sold Joseph into slavery, the brothers that lied to their father about it, are not the same brothers that are standing before Joseph now. The brothers of his childhood who sold him, they would have just accepted Benjamin's faith and gone home to get their dad. Yet this is not the same brothers. Time has changed them. Seeing and living with the grief of their father has changed them. The guilt of their actions has changed them. And up steps Judah to put a spanner in Joseph's plan. Sending the brothers away without Benjamin is not as easy as Joseph thought. These changed brothers, especially Judah, are willing to stand up for their brother and family, especially in the wake of Joseph's death. And so the chapter ends with Judah going, no, I'm not going home with Benjamin. I won't do that to my dad. I won't do that to my family. What incredible courage from Judah to stand up to the man who is the second most powerful person in Egypt. This is not the same Judah that was part of the brothers who sold Joseph into slavery, who returned in secret to try and find him. Joseph wasn't expecting this. His brothers have changed. People change. Usually our plans we make plans because we think in our heads we know how people will respond. When we plan things in our head, we map out whole conversations with people in our heads. We can do that because we map out these conversations, because these plans are based on our previous assumptions and interactions with other people. Joseph's plan was based on the fact of what he had both seen and experienced from his brothers, but he hadn't accounted for the fact that life changes people. People do change. People can change, and they often surprise us when they do. This is often why our plans don't quite work out like we think, because we can't determine how other people will respond. We're only in control of our own actions. I'm reminded that we shouldn't assume we know others, we shouldn't assume how others will respond to us. We need to remember that we are only in control of our own words. We're only in control of our own actions. And sometimes our plans are nothing more than us trying to play God with a situation or other people's lives. Let's be a people that don't do this. Let's be a people that allows God to be God and trust in Him to work it out. Let's be a people more responsive and honest and true to the people before us. Other people are people. They're God's creation, not beings to be manipulated by us or our plans. Will we rely on the will of God, or are we going to be a people who try and work things out to our own plans?